Welcome back to the Wolff Den presented by Win Again Academy. I'm Matt Wolff, founder of Ticket Time Machine. Today we welcome Trey Barham of Roc Solid Foundation to the show. Welcome to the Den. How's it going?
Matt, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Today's wonderful, man. It's 80 degrees and sunny here in Virginia, so we're having a wonderful day.
I just drove through Virginia recently. Drove my mom's car from Florida to New Jersey. Quick trip in and out of Virginia. It's probably where I started to hit the traffic there. Virginia.
I was about to say there's no quick trip through 95 in Virginia. So
yeah, the northern Virginia, right before you get to DC. It's definitely a roadblock there. For those who don't know who you are, how about give them a quick intro and then we can get to it.
Yeah. Again, I'm Trey. I grew up in the Hampton Roads area, so more people are familiar with Norfolk, Virginia. Is kind of where I'm at. I actually live in Suffolk. We're the peanut capital and bacon capital of the world. Right here in Smithfield. But I grew up here in Hampton Roads. I went to a private Christian school, played the same high school that BJ Upton is from, just a couple years behind him. I went to VMI, which is the Virginia Military Institute. It's a military academy just outside of Lexington in Virginia. I spent 4 years with the baseball program there as a private. I did not have any rank while I was at VMI. Was the captain of the baseball team, and then from there I got drafted by the Oakland A's and played professionally with them for 6.5 seasons. Played 2 more years of independent ball, one in Lincoln, Nebraska, with the Lincoln Salt Dogs, and then in the Atlantic League for a year with the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs. I spent a little bit of time with Topgolf and doing some other things, and then as a buddy of mine had a foundation founded in 2009. He welcomed me into the development team, and I joined in January of last year with Roc Solid Foundation, and now I get to build hope for kids fighting cancer.
And we'll talk a lot about what they do, but the short of it is that they help fight cancer for kids through sport.
Yeah, so we believe play defeats cancer. So our mission is to give play back to kids that are going through some terrible times, and especially when kids are diagnosed, the first thing taken from them is play. Doctor visits, hospital stays, and then just immunocompromised is the inability to go to playgrounds and daycares and things like that. Play is really the first thing taken from them.
Yeah. How was the Roc Solid Foundation started? You said it was from a friend. Obviously, there's a why. What is that?
So our founder, Eric Newman, was diagnosed with a very rare form of liver cancer when he was 3 years old. By the time he was 5, he was no signs of disease and has been disease-free ever since, which is 30-some years. He has actually tick marks on his bicep that he keeps every year that he's been cancer-free. So we celebrate with him on his birthday every year, the cancer-free diagnosis. But unfortunately, that same family had 2 first cousins. Shannon had leukemia that eventually took her life when she was 17, and Nicole had a brain tumor that took her life when she was 5. So the families had some extremely difficult cancer journeys through their time. And through all of that, Eric had a very strong background in construction and kind of married those two together. His buddies actually asked him to do a fundraiser for the local children's hospital here in Norfolk, the Children's Hospital of the King Daughters. We call it a CHKD. And they did a fundraiser, and through that, eventually they decided to do play sets for kids, and from there it's just grown exponentially. So
what does Roc Solid have a meaning? It's called, that's the name of it.
So Eric used to go by E-Rock, and he had a little stuffy that had E-Rock written on it. Well, the E fell off at point, and so it just stayed as Rock, and as time went on, it kind of stuck and became the brand.
What was it about your days as a baseball player that prepared you for something like this?
You know, it's a fun story I get to tell. I found myself towards the end of my career really leaning into the fans. I always appreciated good conversation, just having good interactions with fans and kids. And I'd always have a handful of gum. And as I walked down to the bullpen, I tossed gum up to the kids. And it was just something fun, get the kids excited. It cost us nothing, 10 cents for candy, some gum. But just the general excitement of kids and being somewhere fun at a baseball game, that excitement, all of that. Now that, times have turned a little bit and I'm doing this. It's, I get that same look from kids when you get to reveal places.
Yeah, child cancer is, I mean, there's no good cancer, there's no good disease, but to see a child who has lived so little of their life and can't really do a whole lot about whatever it is that's going on, have to suffer through this. I would think that there's probably more people who want to help with that type of organization that's giving to kids, who are surviving and living through this tough times.
Yeah, we definitely have a lot of friends. Kids and puppies. That's the 2 points right there. Anytime you're dealing with kids and puppies, you get people to at least answer the phone a little bit more.
How do you guys survive? How do you get money to go ahead and provide this? What do you provide? And if someone was getting involved, what can they look forward to?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of our stuff is based off of some wonderful team building experiences. We have the ability to match kids with sponsors, and then the sponsors get to join us and build the play set for the family. So we have 156 hospital partners across the country, started with CHKD here in Norfolk and has now expanded across the country. And they help us to identify the families that are going through treatments with them. So we have 3 programs now. 2 of them are based around play, and then the other one is based on Ready Bag. So what you see behind me here is a Roc Solid Ready Bag. The first program after the play sets was the Ready Bag program. And through the hospital partners that we have, every family at those hospitals that receive a pediatric cancer diagnosis gets one of our Roc Solid Ready Bags. We call them Ready Bags because they stay ready for the families and they get them kind of through those first initial days. So when a family receives a pediatric cancer diagnosis, it's not like I sprained my wrist, let's schedule an appointment for 2 weeks, we'll come back. They go to oncology now. It is a race against time to get started. So a lot of those times the families are stuck there at the hospitals. They don't have the ability to go home to grab things that they need to stay overnight, multiple nights, 70 days in a row from the initial diagnosis. This is a family we just recently talked to. But the bag is full of so many different items that the family could use. A lot of pediatric hospitals and treatment facilities don't have adult toiletries, and mom and dad just need to brush their teeth. They've been there for 3 days. So we have an adult toiletry kit with soap, shampoos, conditioners, toothbrushes, toothpaste, all those kinds of things. A blanket. Hospitals are extremely cold all the time for some reason. So we provide the family with a blanket, a thermos, a thermometer, pill crushers. A lot of the medications that the kids have to take need to be crushed. It's hard to swallow a horse pill for some of these kids. We give them a thermal tote that goes in there too. A lot of the medication that has to travel back and forth needs to be refrigerated. So this is a way for them to keep some of that cold. An Amazon Fire tablet. We understand these kids are going to be stuck in the hospital and in cars and doctor's appointments for long amounts of time. And an Amazon Fire tablet really gives the kid a chance to play some games, use it as a messaging system back and forth to friends and family. And again, it's just we have phone chargers. I don't know how many times my phone charger has been lost and left somewhere, but having a phone charger right there, a pen, a notebook, just so many different things that the family isn't really sure they're going to need for those first few days. And we provide it to about 5,000 families a year through our Ready Bag program that's, again, operated through the child life specialists and social workers at each of these hospitals that we're partnered with.
And these bags are ready to go. So you've accumulated the bags, and then as you identify someone who has a need, that's when they're provided through the 150 plus hospitals across the U.S.
Yep. So we'll have different teams and groups come in and join us for what we call Ready Bag packing parties. We'll fill all of the bags, and the teams that come in get to do it. So it's kind of like, the Troopster bags that you get to ship off and things like that. Similar program, but this is a little more impactful for us. Families get to come, or teams and organizations can come join us, touch the items, physically pack the bags for them. And then they get to write handwritten notes to the family to give them a little bit of encouragement and sign that there is some hope. And there is a family, a community of people that are thinking about them and that are here for them as they kind of go through this. It's a sponsored event, so sponsors can pay to have their teams be a part of it. And the sponsorship really just covers the stuff that goes into the bags. So that's kind of how we fund the Ready Bag program a little bit. We also have a group of donors. We call them the Cameron Club. And it's just kind of a funding method for us. It's a philanthropic gift that these people give us, and it just really helps to fund that program. Again, we give out 5,000 of these bags a year, so it's a bit of a financial undertaking.
And talk about the play sets. How does that
Yes.
program work?
So Play It Forward is the playset build program, and we partner with teams, groups, organizations all across the country to join us on site at a family's house to build a playset for a kid undergoing cancer treatment. Again, we believe play defeats cancer, and in those moments of play, they're just there to create memories and have fun. They don't want to be thinking about hospital visits and needles and all those other terrible things that they go through on a daily basis. And giving them something right in their backyard. They don't have to go down the street. They don't have to get in the car and drive. It is in their backyard. It is clean. It is safe. And they can just be kids. And so we'll have, so the funding method for that is sponsors will pay to have their team partake in that big event. It's a white glove service. We have music, pizza. We can definitely throw a little party. And again, it's a celebration for these families. They're going through some terrible times, but we're there to provide some hope and definitely some play.
There's a lot of causes out there to get behind. Have you reached out to the baseball community, the people that you know? How have they gotten involved, if at all?
Yeah, so we actually do have some significant partners that are in the baseball world. Chris Taylor with the Dodgers and the CT3 Foundation. They host a big fundraiser for us every year. And I believe they're going to be doing some building with us at some point here shortly. The Savannah Bananas have actually built with us before and will be building with us again. And it's just an incredible, just very warm welcome from all of these teams that we've been able to work with. They're excited to do it with us. It's incredibly impactful and definitely well received in the baseball community.
I was going to wear my Bananas hat, but we do a lot of stuff for the Savannah Bananas, a great organization. They do a lot of great things for causes. I know adoption is one, and now obviously child cancer. But kids they kind of don't. They're so innocent, right? It's just they don't really know almost what's going on a lot of times, and they don't really want to be treated differently. Is that what you guys see from the kids that you're helping out?
Yeah, definitely talking with some of the parents, mama bears and papa bears. Kids just aren't sure what's going on. They don't really know any different either, which is terrible. But no, we're there to just provide play and let the kids be kids. Like I said, they go through enough, and we don't want to treat them any differently. We're there to have a good time. If they want to come out and build with us, they can participate too. But no, we're there just for the kids.
And what's the plans for the future for growth? I mean, how do you guys get bigger? And you got 150 hospitals. That's a huge number. What's the plan to scale that?
Yeah, so there's about 250-ish pediatric oncology facilities across the nation, and we have a member of our staff that is specifically he's reaching out to these hospitals, sharing the program, some of the testimonials from families, some of the wins from other hospitals that that are doing the program as well. So trying to grow through those, like the frontline workers are that's how we reach out to these families. So by being able to be in the hospitals that the families are being diagnosed at is a big part for us. So really reaching out to the hospital facilities that we're not partnered with yet, and then growing that way for the Ready Bag program. And then with the Play It Forward program, it's really just reaching out to sponsors that are around the pediatric oncology facilities that we work with. There are plenty of families that are looking to have playsets built, and we're looking for partners to do it.
What would be the reason why a hospital wouldn't want to participate in this program? It feels like there really wouldn't be one, but I'm sure there are.
There are. One of the biggest ones is just storage. There is not a lot of storage in hospital facilities. And for our program to work the way we want it to, it's designed to be given to the family at diagnosis. When the doctor goes in with the child life specialist to diagnose the family, the bag comes with them, and it's there just as that lifeline right then. But if it's not at the facility, then there's no way for the hospital to hand it to them. And some of these hospitals just don't have the space to store a backpack for them. So that's one of the reasons, and one of the most often reasons that we have heard that, no, we can't do the program here. Now, a lot of those hospitals will say, we can still connect you to the family, and we're more than happy to send a Ready Bag directly to the family if that's the case, if they're just happen to be at one of those that we're either don't have the space to store it, or if they're if a family's being treated at a hospital that we're not partnered with yet. We hope that just by word of mouth through the pediatric cancer community that they can hear about us, and then we can get them a bag, and then hopefully at some point build a playset for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to have it right at the moment, but if it's just better to have it in general, even if you can't give it to
Yeah.
someone at the moment.
And even still, just those first few days are very critical to help trying to get the family through. But then they're called ready bags. Families keep them ready. They stay packed with all of the items. Things get added to them that families need specifically for them. Every ready bag has its own story. But then families keep them either in their car, by the front door. And with a pediatric cancer diagnosis, 101.2 temperature, you're going immediately to the emergency room, and you're still, again, racing against time. It's an, oh no, we got to go moment. So this not time to let me grab my phone charger, let me get deodorant and toothpaste. Like we'll get in the car here eventually. No, let's go. So those bags stay ready. They grab them and they go, and then everything they need is there. They don't have to go looking for anything else.
Yeah, again, everyone knows someone who's been touched by cancer. My family's no different. It hasn't been through kids; it's been through adults, but it affects families nonetheless. But it's, again, there's so many options for who you can give to, and whether or not you actually feel some type of connection. So how do you get out to people who maybe don't have any connection? What's the outreach and the plan to be visible for others who might want to help, but they don't really have a connection to it, but they might be wanting to try and find something to be a part of?
Yeah, it's really just trying to get them to connect it to the mission. A lot of our things are tangible, and a lot of people that come to our events are kind of voluntold. Again, they come through a corporate event, and their team is there, so they come with them, and then all of a sudden they hear what we're doing, and they get to feel it and touch it and do it, and then all of a sudden it kind of gets them bought in. If they're not able to come to an event, I try to speak it a lot. I try to go to Rotary clubs, Lions clubs, just any type of big event where there be an audience that I can address and talk to try to share the mission and try to share that impact. Man, a good kid photo on a slide, smiling, happy is a tough thing to not feel connected to, especially when you know that kid's going through something.
Are there areas that you guys are stronger in and some that you guys are weaker in with regards to geography? I assume the Virginia area, that's where you guys are and where it all started. But where else might you be maybe a little bit weaker in, or some surprisingly strong areas?
Yeah. So again, we were founded in Hampton Roads in Virginia. So Virginia is definitely a well-established kind of territory for us. North Carolina is a big group for us. The Duke hospitals and all those facilities down there see a ton of pediatric cancer families. We have a lot of stuff going on in Florida. We recently launched in Florida this year, or just recently last year, and are doing a ton of stuff in Tampa, Jacksonville, Miami, and work with the hospitals there, and have plans to build quite a few play houses later this year in Florida too, as long as some play sets.
Yeah, I was going to say do these hospitals have playgrounds that kids can go to, or is that something that they wouldn't be allowed to participate in?
A lot of them just wouldn't be allowed to, just because of their immunocompromisation. It's if they get sick, it's just not safe. So that's kind of why we do it at the family's backyard. That way they can have it right there, and it stays clean. You don't have to worry about other kids sneezing all over it.
How much do the families pay it forward? I mean, they've gotten this sort of treatment and blessing to have stuff for their family, and then see others struggling. I would imagine that a fair amount are people who would pay it forward and want to help out the organization that helps them.
Yeah, the word of mouth that is able to pass through the pediatric cancer community is wonderful. Having a family just tell their story and share their story on social media or at one of our events. So anytime you come to a Roc Solid event, it always starts with why. My why is actually I lost a friend to pediatric cancer when she was 17. So now I get to honor her through a lot of this. So when you come to a packing party with us or any one of our other events, we try to have a family there to share kind of their side of their story, what happened when they received their ready bag and when they got their play set. So hearing it directly from a mama bear or papa bear's mouth is very impactful, and we try to do that as often as we can. And a lot of those families are more than willing to show up and tell their story, again, because it's going to help share and spread the word of Roc Solid Foundation more, to help us reach those other hospitals, to help us find another sponsor to build a play set, and just the continuation of telling their story to share that impact and tell others to get them involved is, there's a lot of families that are willing to do that.
Yeah, and it's a terrible. Again, it's always terrible, but when you hear someone who's a teenager, where we talked about people not really knowing, you get to that age where you do know what's going on, and you're just about to get to what some might think are the best years of their life, and that gets taken away from them is just it's heartbreaking, right? Because we see it happening to older people. You never want to see it happen to anyone, but my look on life is that, well, they lived a good life. They had a lot of opportunities, but the kids getting it, and it becomes a certain age where they, when they start to really know what's going on, where it becomes even. I don't like to compare this, but when you're saying something about a 10, 12, 14-year-old compared to a 2 or 3-year-old who really doesn't know what's going on, wouldn't have any.
Yeah, you hope they don't remember much of it at that point. Yeah. But no, when you're in your mid-teens, you definitely know what's going on.
Yeah, and I couldn't even imagine. I get, it's hard. Like I said, I have family members in their 60s. You can't imagine having someone that young struggling. This is maybe a weird question. Is there statistics on how many of the people that you guys are helping get cured or live a prolonged life to get to where they're at of the kids? And do you guys have any kind of partnerships with who might take care of some of their needs after they become, they're not kids anymore necessarily, and now they become young adults?
Kind of to an extent. I'm not really sure how to answer.
Yeah, I was just trying to say, is that most of it cancer that's.
So we don't necessarily keep the statistic ourselves. We try to let the family stay as private as they want. If they want to share what they want to share, that's great, but we're not taking notes and trying to keep track at that point. But there are 16,000 families that do get diagnosed each year. And so from that, at any point, a typical cancer journey is 3 years. It's 1,095 days. So at any point in, 3-year process, there's 40-some thousand families that are going through active cancer journeys with their child. Now afterwards, we don't really keep that statistic on, cure. There's no real cure. There's just at that point, there's no sign of disease, and you're just in maintenance phase for a while.
And do you partner with any other foundations or charities that work either in the kids space or in the space for what happens after they're not kids anymore?
Yeah, we kind of have a age where it's not really a cutoff, but we'll build a play set for any family, even if the kid's a little bit older, if they have younger siblings and stuff like that, we'll still build it for them. It's just kind of, we don't want to, again, it's the whole family going through this. It's not the kid by themselves. But after they, once they're adolescents and kind of past that point, it's just kind of where they live and what treatment facility is near them.
Yeah, it's again, there's so many organizations there and I have actually a few people that I could introduce you to just based on some conversations that I've had that could be fruitful. It's always good to brainstorm and try and find a way, get more visibility, get more people to wanna to donate, and sometimes it's their time, right? Taking their time to go and help put together a backpack for people.
Yeah, there's time, talents, and treasures. We'll take any of them.
Yeah, we don't. Time is something I could give a lot more of than money to some of these causes. I know there's people who are looking to donate their time and want to do something that's gonna help them. I want to talk a little bit about your baseball career. That's sort of you've transitioned from baseball player, from a major leaguer, into the real world. Actually, the Winnigan Academy, they have something going on right now. Mark Moyer. We have a lot of conversations with athletes transitioning after their career. When did you start to think about the next step for you, and what is it back then that you maybe thought you would want to do?
So initially at VMI, my degree was in biology, and I had plans to go into the Air Force and join, and hopefully go through their doctor program. But you kind of had to make a decision halfway through school. So I backed out of any bit of the ROTC program. Still got my biology degree, but the hope at some point was to go into either pediatrics or some form of orthopedics. But that didn't work.
And you were in the majors, and then you sort of had some minor league stints.
So no big league time. I peaked out at AAA with the Sacramento River Cats.
But drafted by the Oakland.
But drafted by the A's.
Talk about the program of being a minor leaguer. It's not a glamorous life, and you really got to put everything you have into it, right?
Yeah, you're committed at that point. Guys are getting taken care of significantly better nowadays. Just recently, they made some changes. My first year, I made $1,200 a month in Vancouver, British Columbia. We took a bus everywhere. We had a locker room that wasn't the greatest. It was a lot of splintered wood and broken tiles, but the fans were fantastic. And I mean, when you say living the dream, I don't regret a moment of it. It was a blast every bit of the road, every bit of the ride. But no, I don't want another peanut butter and jelly sandwich for the rest of my life.
Well, what's the difference between making it? I mean, it's such a fine line between the people who get called up and don't.
Timing, a lot of timing, right organization at the right time.
Did you think you were going to get called up? Was there a moment where you thought, I have a pretty good chance of getting called up, or was it? I
mean, when you're in AA, you're a phone call away at any point. And I had a really good year my first year in AA when I was in Midland, Texas. And from at that point, it was literally a phone call away. I never made it to the 40-man roster, which was a big part of it, being able to go up and down from the minors to the majors. But at one point, I was one of the left-handed guys, hopefully the next call, and then timing.
And at the VMI, the program, it's not like Army or Navy where you have to commit yourself to.
Correct. Yeah. The other service academies, there's a commitment of time after that you have to serve. At VMI and the Citadel are the other two service academies. There's no forced time afterwards. You can decide and go through the RTC program and commit to there where there's some scholarship money to help with your school. And then they help, you stay in for 4 or 6 years, whichever it was. But with me, I chose not to. You go through a leadership program instead of the ROTC program, and that kind of just gets you ready for, the regular world.
So you almost you said you have to tell them about halfway through.
Yeah. After your third class year, you kind of have to make that decision. Do you want to continue through the ROTC program and pursue a commission in whichever one of the branches? So that's one of the good things about VMI as well. If you go to Army, you're going to the Army. If you go to Navy, you're going into the Navy. At VMI, you get to decide between any of the service branches, and you get to pursue the ROTC program.
But once you choose not to go halfway through, then
you can't just jump back into it.
But if I wanted to join the Army or the Marines, obviously not now, I'm too old, but after college or at some point, how does that differ?
So you would two different ways. You could enlist and then go through officer qualifying school, OCS, I think it is, officer call school, or just enlist and just join as a low-level private or whatever it would be. Coming out of VMI as the ROTC program, you would come out as a commissioned officer. You'd come out as a second lieutenant, or depending on what branch. The Air Force would have been a second lieutenant for me. So you'd come out as a qualified officer instead of a.
So you're obviously playing baseball, so it helps, when people are giving you a look. But you had a pretty good idea you were going to be a part of something in the military, and then it just decided halfway through that it wasn't going to happen.
I had no plans through high school to join the military. It wasn't like I'm going to a service academy and I want to go serve. But when VMI approached me with the baseball scholarship and the ability to, play baseball at a D1 program, I took that opportunity and, kind of thought through life a little bit at that point and said, that's not a terrible road to go. Well, I had a great sophomore year and a fantastic sophomore summer in one of the Valley League baseball leagues, a college summer league here in Virginia. I actually finished that summer in the Cape Cod League and at that point, he's like, I have a pretty good chance as a left-handed pitcher of getting picked up. So if I sign the commission form and didn't get drafted, there's some headache that's going to happen between signing your commission and going to the Air Force and trying to play professional baseball. So we just made the decision at that point to forego a commission and go through the leadership program.
Unless you're David Robinson, right?
So there's actually a couple guys from Navy that got some special privileges to where they can play and then serve during their off season and stuff. So they're getting a little less, they're getting more lenient nowadays to allow, the service academy players the option to go play professionally and then come back and serve their time.
Did you ever see the movie Summer Catch?
One of the worst baseball movies ever made. Please, I hope the producers of that aren't on this, but yeah.
It's so bad it's good though. I like watching it. There's another, what was the other minor league movie?
Bull Durham.
That's a good one, obviously.
That is minor league baseball, right? Yeah.
There. No, there was one that was like almost like a Bad News Bears of college. I'll have to send it to you. You might have seen it. I forget who it was called, but yeah, that movie was so bad it was good. Summer Catch. I feel like he's one of the worst actors.
I just don't understand how, like, so many people are athletic and can throw a baseball that look like they can throw a baseball, and they should have worked with him for a few more weeks.
You were drafted by the A's. They're obviously going away. Any thoughts on that?
I'm 50-50 on it. The city of Oakland is fantastic. They're great fans. There's just that community of baseball fans is getting the bad end of this stick, unfortunately. I'm not going to say Vegas isn't going to be a fantastic spot for a team, or if it ends. Do they even know exactly where it's going at this point? It has bounced back and forth a few times, but apparently they're playing in Sacramento.
Yeah, they're moving to a smaller park for a few years, and then eventually they will be in Vegas. Vegas is I've been to both the Knights and the Raiders, and it's a great environment. But
yeah, that's to say it's good. They're going to thrive in Vegas, absolutely. But baseball has so much history in Oakland that it's tough to see it leave. I just wish they would just build a new stadium. Give the fans what they want. Give them a new stadium. Give the guys a place that's clean, that doesn't back up with sewage in the showers during the games. Oakland fans are getting the bad end of this one. Yeah. I want to shout out my boy right field Will.
Not as bad as the Coyotes fans got, and the players who got to play hockey in Utah now. It's such a. I mean, sports is such a business, right? Yeah. Is it that much of a business? I know it always has been, but has it evolved? It's had to have evolved way more now than when you were going through it all.
I kind of came in right at the Moneyball era where it was very statistical. It's business oriented. It's, again, when I got my release, it was very straightforward. Here's what's coming up. We don't have a spot for you, unfortunately. We wish you the best. Very straightforward, very business oriented from the very get go.
With you're a baseball guy with the Roc Solid Foundation and the play sets. What's the most popular sport that these kids do they request? Do they get a little bit of everything?
And if the world isn't poetic, is it? The first play set build I got to go on, this sweet little boy named Colby, I was talking to his mom. He had an older brother, and his brother was away for a baseball game and was very sad that he wasn't going to be there for the play set build. Well, I told mom right then, my history of, being a baseball player. She lit up. She grabbed Colby. He came outside. And so I have my journal. This is what I keep. This is all my notes. This is everything. And inside of it is what I call it's our why photo. It's, whenever you're having a rough day, nobody's answering the phone, you can't raise any money kind of day. Always look at my Y photo. My Y photo is me and Colby hanging out on his front porch. And sure enough, he grabbed his baseball glove and came running outside and didn't take it off for 6 hours.
Yeah, that's a great story. Sports it can be so much more. One of my favorite movies of all time is Field of Dreams. And I actually got a chance to go to the Field of Dreams and saw the first Field of Dreams game.
That's awesome.
There. Yeah, it was such a great experience, which is weird because I feel like I never would actually have gone to the Field of Dreams site. if it wasn't for that game, because
Yeah,
it's so far out of the way. It's just, but yeah, it was like lucky. But the way that sports is, it's bigger than, obviously it's a sport. There's a lot of money and there's a business and teams want to win, but the connection that the fans have to sports and teams and players and allows those type of moments that just kind of make you, I'm with you. You just try and find something that makes you understand exactly how lucky and privileged we are, versus these kids who are, again, through no fault of their own, going through this type of struggle. I think most people are empathetic to it, but I think a lot of times we don't think about this sort of thing until something hits us or someone near us. And, why do we have to wait for tragedy and all this bad stuff to sort of be grateful for what we have and think about all the good? I don't know. I don't know why that is. I'm probably as guilty as anyone else, although I try to really live my life as though who knows what's going to happen next.
Yeah, I'm a big service guy. I was in the hospitality industry for a little bit, and my wife said my love language is feeding people. If you come to my house, you're not going to leave hungry by any means. So I'm a service above self person. And again, that's how I found myself in the not-for-profit world. And I just love giving back.
What's expansion look like for Roc Solid aside from going into more hospitals? Is there other programs that you guys have on the horizon? You have a bag, you have a play set, maybe bigger events, whatever it is that you guys can do to get more visibility, raise more funds, and get more of this stuff in the hands of the kids who need it.
Yeah, so there's two different things that we kind of have going on. The first one is on April 1st of this year, we started hearing from some of the families that our yard's not big enough, we don't own our home, or we have a mean HOA that says, no, we can't have a play set in our backyard, which is the worst thing ever. So we introduced play houses. They're a lot smaller, but it's still an ability to give play back to the family. And we can build a play house literally anywhere in the country. We can ship it directly to a sponsor. The sponsor gets to build it, and then we get to connect them with the family, and they get to deliver the playhouse to the family and kind of get to meet the families through that process too, which is wonderful to see the actual impact to deliver a play set to a kid and deliver a playhouse to a family, to see them light up and get to play and just have fun and be joyful. So that's one. Again, that's something we just introduced this year. We're happy to ship it anywhere in the country to help serve one of the 16,000 families that are going to get diagnosed this year. Now, globally, there's 400,000 families that unfortunately receive a pediatric cancer diagnosis. And throughout the growth that we have right now and hopeful, big, hairy, audacious dreams is what our founder likes to say, we'll be able to reach all 400,000 families globally.
Obviously, every dollar helps and counts. From a sponsor's point of view, can you share what it might cost for someone to get involved and put together a bag, a set, a house, an event? What are the different levels?
Yeah, we can go through a little bit of that. Yeah. So for the Roc Solid Ready bag, it costs us about $300 to fill the bag with everything that goes into it, and then have it delivered either to the hospital, which then the family can get it through the child life specialist, or delivered directly to the family in those, instances where they're not at one of those facilities. Playhouses are $1,000, and we can ship it anywhere in the country. And again, you get to build it and then get to meet the family. And so those are the two programs that are kind of easy impact. And
the play set, that's somewhere in.
It's a little bit different. It depends on where it's at in the country and what time of the year we're doing it. But if there's anybody interested, I'd love to have that conversation. Yeah.
Information scrolling at the bottom, Roc Solid Foundation .org, and you can definitely reach out for any information on that. We're a commemorative product company at Keepsake. I see you got a bunch of stuff behind.
Yeah, we have some good lanyards. We have a gala every year in April at the Chartway Arena on Old Dominion University's campus, just right here in downtown Norfolk. And that's where those are from. It was a fantastic event this past year. Raised over $600,000 for us to do what we get to do. So when you reached out the other day and said we had just ordered them, but no, we'll talk for those.
What's else is back there that you keep? I see Packers, maybe a trophy, maybe something that indicates.
So I'm a Packers fan. We have some friends from Wisconsin up in Chippewa Falls, so we're Liney's peoples. So I grew up a Packers fan. We just had family from there, and Brett Favre just was a chucker, man. I loved watching him play football, and kind of as I grew in my sports world, he was peaking kind of about the time my football interest grew. So I'm a Packers fan. That's an Aaron Jones signed helmet, which I actually got at our Night for the Fight Gala in 2019 when I attended as a guest. It was one of our silent auction prizes. I've got a couple bobbleheads. I've got my wonderful baseball bat cup from dugout mugs. Yep.
Yeah. I got
just some other random stuff. I got a Raleigh Finger signed baseball.
I got so many collectibles. But I did get a ticket time machine mug that's sitting on my counter here. What's your most special baseball from maybe memorabilia or souvenir from when you were playing?
Man, I had Tommy John surgery in August of 2012. And through my rehab, Bob Welch came back to the A's organization and was spending some time around Scottsdale at the minor league complex with a lot of the guys. And that summer, I was the old guy hanging out, rehabbing. I connected with Bob, and we sharing stories back and forth. And he unfortunately passed that following summer. But I got a ball from him that he signed while we were hanging out on the bullpen bench. I think we were at the Cubs complex when they were over at Ho-Ho-Cam. And that ball is going to be cherished forever.
House on fire, all the living people and pets and everything
else is out.
Everything you need to survive. What are you bringing with you if you can only take one item?
Ooh, man, that Bob Welch ball is very special. I don't know. My class ring from VMI is hanging out back there somewhere. That's pretty special. That's a big thing for me too. So again, family and friends and everything out of the house. That baseball has got to go with me.
Yeah. No, I got some That's what I have. I have some baseballs. We always do the show and tell here on the Wolff Den. I never know what we're going to be chatting about, but I have, and I wish I knew the story of this. My father had these baseballs, and they're all signed. They have Jackie Robinson on here, on two of them, and Roy Campanella, and it's just a crazy. The people who are signed this, I think it was All-Star Dusty Rhodes. It's just nuts. Willie Mays is on here, Jackie Robinson, and I don't know the story of it. And he passed, but that's what I would take is these three signed baseballs. And I don't know the story, man. And it doesn't matter what they're worth because I'd never
seen prices at this point.
Yeah, to me, it's like what is
the good thing is most of my baseball collection lives at my dad's house. It's at my parents' house, so he gets to look at them more than I do. So my Manny Ramirez and Ricky Henderson, Jesse Barfields, they all live over at my dad's house. So they're safe if my house catches on fire. I'm taking Bob. I kept Bob here.
Who's the best player you ever pitched against, and who's the best player you ever been on a team with?
Best player ever been on a team with. Me and Manny were teammates when he signed with Oakland. They put him in AAA for a few months. He's a historic Hall of Famer, so that guy's got to be number one on my teammate list. Best player I ever faced was Mike Trout. I faced him. We were in A-ball and again in AA, and that guy's I'll go down, and he's the best baseball player to ever live. I'll fight that to the end, man. That guy is special. He is fantastic. I wish he could stay super healthy for a full year, but just talent-wise, he showed up on the field as an 18-year-old and just was head above shoulders of everybody. His bat sounded different. He was speedier than everybody, so much faster than everybody else. Just an incredible talent.
I was lucky enough to be at the WBC championship game in the ninth inning, and Trout came up against Ohtani. It was unbelievable. He ended up striking him out. I feel like Ohtani, if he stays healthy, will end up being the best baseball player ever. I'm a Gator fan. We got a guy, his name is Jack Caglione, and he pitches and hits. You don't see it too much, but why is that? I mean, the pitchers used to always hit in the college, and they were, I remember back in the day when I was in school, Brad Wilkerson, was a Gator. He got drafted by the Expos, and he was an All-American player, pitched it and hit. Why is it? I know they just want to concentrate on it, but there's some people who grow up hitting.
Too much money involved. If you're going to pay somebody that much to hit or that much to pitch, you don't want them, energy drained or risk of getting hurt doing something else.
Yeah, I mean, they used to have you hit.
That special. He's doing both.
They used to have to hit in the National League. Right now, I guess
I missed it. When I came out of high school, I was a pretty decent hitter. I thought I had a chance of hitting in college, and then that ball got real fast, and
that didn't.
It moved too much. I wish I could go back in time. I wish there was a way I could actually face myself, just see it from that perspective. As a left-handed hitter and a left-handed pitcher, where would I be?
Yeah, now Paul Skeens is the next big thing. In baseball, struck out the first six batters. Feels like
a heck of a good first. I mean, he had a pretty good first outing, but his second outing was the one he had no hits through 6 or 7.
Yeah, and feels like maybe Strasburg was the last.
That's the last one that was comparable.
It felt like that, and then before that, it was Kerry Wood. When he came out and just started
striking out 20.
It's hard to, no matter how good you are, that's a hard thing to keep and to maintain, and there's a lot of luck that goes with it to not get. You're putting a ton of.
I mean, you look at guys like Verlander, just built well and just strong and stayed healthy for a long time, and he got an opportunity to do it for a long time.
Yeah, I think he's one of the best too. It's I was at the Marlins game the other day, and I don't even recognize any of the players. They just keep getting rid of players and
rotating roster down there.
Other teams, but I do like indoor baseball. Maybe it's because it's so hot here. How do you feel about indoor baseball?
Spending a lot of time in Scottsdale, being able to go to the stadium there at the Diamondbacks. That stadium was awesome. I don't mind having a closed roof in a 70-degree air-conditioned environment, especially in places like that. It never bothered me. Some guys complain about the roof and being able to track the ball and see the ball a little bit differently with the closed roof or an open roof, but I never really had to catch a fly ball, so it never bothered me.
You guys are not that far from Ripken baseball and everything that they're doing. What's the state of youth baseball in your eyes?
Some of this travel stuff's starting to get out of control a little bit, but for the most part, I mean, in our area, it's probably the most popular sport for, growing boys. There's hundreds of different travel teams and tournaments every weekend. I wish kids would take some more time off. That's a soapbox I'll jump on anytime you want to have that conversation. But no, I think it's growing. I think it's blossoming. I think kids are having as much fun as we did when we played, and it just looks a little bit different. But baseball here in Virginia is wonderful, especially in the Hampton Roads area.
Will people get noticed? I mean, that's another thing. You want to go to the best school and be with this, but I mean, if you're really good, you're going to get noticed from someone, no matter what. Whether that's a college taking you a look, or depending on what, doesn't even matter what college you're at, people will be able to see what you can do, right?
And social media is helping a lot with that too. Being able to a scout can sit there and thumb through thousands of videos on a flight, and you'd be able to look at videos of kids all over the place, and just the ability to track talent through that is way different. And there's even programs and scouting programs and softwares that you can upload your things to, and people can look at it right there. And if you're good, you're going to get found for sure nowadays. There's not a random guy hiding in Iowa that throws 102. They know where he is.
Is there anything you would change about the game of baseball if you could be the commissioner for a day and change something?
I wish they would talk to the Bananas guys a little bit and pick up some of those traits. But I'm a traditionalist. I love what the Bananas are doing. I think it's, I'll separate the two from baseball and banana ball. But baseball in general is slow and boring. I appreciate the time slots that they're, the pitch clocks and stuff to help speed it up. Some guys were just always taking their time and felt like they were, those games lasted 4.5 hours. But having a game sped up a little bit has helped get fans back to the stadiums. It's not, the biggest thing was fans leaving at like the 7th inning because it was already 9:30. But being close to the end of the game now at that 2.5, 3 hour time frame, it's definitely helping a lot.
I get to I go more for if there's a bobblehead, if there's a giveaway. The other day was a special Marlins Gators day and a Jake Berger bobblehead, so that'll get me. But they are trying to do a lot more in stadium to help. The food and drink is helpful. It's the most unique at baseball stadiums more than football.
Mm-hmm.
And baseball is the kind of game where you can go and you can walk around and still watch the game, and you can't really do that in basketball and hockey and football. So it's kind of unique in that way. So I think
you can just kind of meander the concourse.
Oh yeah, there's definitely ways to entertain. I don't know whether they'll figure it out or not. I think baseball is doing fine, right? But
baseball as a business is fantastic. I don't think it's gonna ever go.
But I agree, and I wouldn't even mind having less games. 162 games.
It's a lot.
It's a lot of games. I don't know what everyone wins a third, they lose a third, and then what do you do in that next? I don't know that would change much if you dropped it, but too much money in that, obviously.
Oh yeah,
that's one of the disappointing things about sport. When when you're young, you just play the sport and you love it, and then it becomes a numbers game with business, and then it becomes a different game when you have to try and be competitive. I mean, there's so many people that have lost the love of the game just because of all this stuff that was around it. I saw an interesting, I don't know if it was a 30 for 30. It was about the pitcher in the Little League World Series who won it, and he was the most famous person. And then he was never able to live up to whatever that was, and just started to not really love the game. And then you have parents who want to push you, but you're just I don't really want to play anymore. There's other things I'd rather do. I don't have any kids, but I have friends who do and who are in competitive athletics, and it's tough. It's a lot tougher now, I think, than it was back then. And there's even more options.
Sure.
There's people playing so many more sports that are available now. But everyone always grows up playing soccer and Little League. I think we've done pretty good in America with baseball. But soccer doesn't seem to. Everyone played soccer. Anyone who's a kid.
I played when I was from 4 to 12. I played soccer. Yeah. Actually, I competitive swam a lot too. Swimming's pretty big down here.
Yeah, but we can't get soccer to go, at least from the U.S. versus the women's. Yes, and honestly,
I watch a women's soccer team game all the time. Man, they're awesome.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be at the Olympics, and I'm going to get to see the USA women play. I'm hoping I have tickets to see the men's basketball, but we don't know if those tickets are legit or not, or if we be able to use them. What's a bucket list for you with regards to sporting events?
A really random one. I want to go to an All Blacks game in New Zealand. I love the rugby. I love that feel. I want to see the dance that they do before. I want to go when they play the Australian team. Apparently that is a wild event. So that is a bucket list for me. I am 0 for 14 on Masters tickets. A Masters Sunday at Augusta would be fantastic. A round at Augusta would be even cooler if there's somebody listening.
I had my brother was in Australia for his honeymoon, and I think he got me a rugby ball that I have from the All Blacks. But yeah, it's tough to get. That's a tough one because it's just tough to get there in general. Forget about getting there when they're playing, and unless you're organizing a trip. But that's a long way to go just for that. I'm told that the NFL might be playing in Australia an actual game in a few years. And I don't know which teams will be playing there, but that would be pretty cool.
Probably Jacksonville.
Yeah. No, I think their London home is pretty secure. They love being out there. They will have a team out there because you can do it. Spend 3 weeks there, spend 3 weeks here. It's not going to be an issue, and the fans seem to love it. I actually did go to a Jacksonville Jaguars game out in London, and I thought it was a great experience.
At Wembley.
No, did I go to Wembley? I think it was at Wembley. Yeah, it was a great experience. The fans over there. I mean, someone was wearing a jersey from every team. It didn't even matter who was playing. There was just someone with a jersey there.
Very, very sports passionate people out there.
yeah, it's oh man, there's nothing like going to see the difference in sports. I was lucky enough to see a soccer game. I can't wait to see the Olympics, but the way that sport is over there, um, to watch them, it's not, way different than the experience of here. I saw a baseball game in Japan, which was pretty wild. That was a fun experience. Have you ever been to a baseball game in a different country?
If you would count the one I played in Canada, yes. No, hell of a pickup stickball game in the Dominican one time, but not an actual game.
Do the Canadian fans treat baseball differently, or?
They were fantastic. So I was at part of the short season team in Vancouver, and Vancouver could honestly be a big league. That's a big league city. I mean, the hockey fans up there and the hockey team up there are wildly strong and terrific. Like, they're great fans. They showed up. Basically every home game was sold out. They were awesome. They were great.
Yeah, they moved the basketball team to Memphis, but maybe they'll get a baseball team or another basketball team. They got my team growing up with is the Sonics, so hopefully they'll bring the Sonics back to Seattle. Check out the information on the bottom, rocsolidfoundation.org, using the hashtag #PlayDefeatsCancer. If you have any questions, reach out to Trey. They need people, time, money.
Time, talents, and treasures anywhere across the country. We'd love to help impact kids fighting cancer with you.
Yeah, trying to help kids fight cancer. It's as simple as that. We're going to let you out of the Wolff Den with the same question everyone gets. You can spend 24 hours with anybody in the world. It can't be related to them, and they have to be alive. Who would you choose, and what would you guys do?
I'm going to pick my buddy, Jeremy Barfield. We were roommates for most of our playing career. I miss him so much. I haven't had a chance to get out to Arizona to see him recently. So if I get 24 hours right now, I'm going to spend some time with him.
All right. Oh, an old teammate. That's a great story. I really appreciate your time here. It's something that everyone should be helping out with, however they can. Children and cancer, it's terrible. And you guys are doing some great things, and looking forward to seeing what comes next. And I'm going to certainly do my best to try and find a way to help however I can. But really appreciate your time here, and we'll talk to you guys soon. We got another episode later this week. So do something good, have fun, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.